Hi, everybody. Welcome, welcome. Thanks for joining me today for our guided meditation with Healthy Minds Innovations. My name is Stephanie Wagner. I'm a trainer and program specialist for Healthy Minds Innovations, and I'm really looking forward to guiding you in a practice today that's all about navigating transitions. As we're getting started here, I would love to hear from you. I see a couple of people have already shared via chat saying hi. I would love to know who's practicing with me today. If you would just share with me where you live, maybe a word that describes how you're doing today. I can tell you here in Minneapolis, things are feeling a lot brighter. It's sunny, it's beautiful. It's going to be 70 degrees today, and hope that you are all doing well. For those of you that might not be familiar with who we are a nonprofit that is affiliated with a research institution at the University of Wisconsin-Madison called the Center for Healthy Minds. And we have a unique scientific framework of well-being that's rooted in scientific insights coming out of the Center for Healthy Minds. Our framework has 4 different dimensions of well-being: awareness, connection, insight, and purpose. And each of these dimensions of well-being has a specific set of skills that are both trainable, as well as there's science that links them to being beneficial to well-being. Each month we've been coming together and doing practices rooted in a specific theme. And so we chose the theme for this month around sort of what feels like a very timely point in the midst of the pandemic. And so the theme that we're working with today is all about navigating transitions. For me personally, it seems like we're at this point in the pandemic where we're beginning to again navigate a bunch of change. And it's not that change isn't happening all the time. It certainly is, but of course, change is happening on small or big levels. And so it sort of feels like here at this point in the pandemic, there's bigger changes afoot, emerging from the stay-at-home order, emerging into mostly, hopefully, a vaccinated world at some point in this summer. So our meditation practice can be a really useful support in helping us to see things more clearly. And so what we're going to do during our practice today is we're going to begin to sort of explore change. Part of what can be very difficult in our lives is that we sort of have this expectation that things are not changing. We sort of see a very oversimplified version of reality. And when we see this oversimplified version of reality and it's contrasted with actually the way things are, there's a lot of suffering that can happen within that. And so our goal here with this particular practice is to begin to see that in fact, change is happening all the time. It just oftentimes goes unrecognized. So during this practice, what we're going to do is we're going to explore changes that are happening in our body and our breath and our environment, and even at this point in time where we are at in the pandemic. So this is largely an insight practice. Insight practices are designed to help us to see things more clearly. And we're going to use insight to see change during this practice. We'll practice for about the next 20 to 25 minutes. All right, so go ahead and find yourself in a comfortable seat here, allowing the body to relax a bit. And so you can choose to practice with your eyes open or your eyes closed, but see if you can settle in and find a posture that feels supportive to your practice, relaxed yet alert. And as you're beginning to settle in here, taking a couple of slow, deep breaths. On each out breath, allowing the mind and body to relax, even if it's just a little bit. And then take a moment to connect with your motivation for meditating, whatever that might be. And see if you can bring your motivation to your mind. Perhaps you're meditating to deal with some difficulties in your life, to nurture your own well-being. So whatever it is, connect with that by bringing it to mind. And then see if you can connect to a motivation that extends beyond being beneficial to you, but try and see if you can enter into this practice with wanting to be of benefit to others as well, wishing that this practice not only benefits your own well-being, but that it benefits the well-being of all of those around you, having a positive ripple effect that goes forth into the world. All right, so let's begin to explore the change that's happening all the time. We're going to start with noticing sensations in the body. So bring awareness to the sensations in your face and see what you notice here. You might notice sensations in your forehead or your jaw, the muscles around your eyes. And as you're noticing those sensations, see if you can notice any change to those sensations. Are they shifting or moving in any way? And even if it seems like the sensations are not moving, you can even notice how your attention moves to explore sensations in the different parts of your face. So simply exploring and noticing change in whatever way through the sensations in the muscles in your face. And now bringing your awareness into your torso, your chest, your belly, and begin to notice any changes in this part in your body. Maybe noticing that the chest and belly are rising and falling with the breath, noticing that change. There might even be an emotional tone that you feel in your body, maybe some aliveness, some anxiety. See what you notice about those sensations and if there's any change that you can notice here. And of course, awareness is at the foundation of our practice here. So from time to time, your mind will wander. And so just recognizing that when it happens, and then redirect your attention to explore the change in the chest and in the belly. Some of you might notice that you're labeling the change, and that's fine. Others might just be more sort of intuitively with the change. That's fine too. Exploring change in whatever way feels right for you. And now bring awareness to the lower half of your body and notice any sensations here. And get curious and see if you can see any change happening in the sensations in your legs or your feet. You might notice things like sensations moving in the soles of your feet, maybe even air movement across the body. These changes can be extremely subtle, and so here we're simply tuning in. Okay, so let's just let go for a moment and allow the mind to rest. Simply just resting the mind in the sense of open, receptive presence. And as you're resting your mind here, you may even notice thoughts come and go in the mind, and that's change too. You can just notice that. Okay, let's begin to explore change again, this time using the breath. So bring awareness to the breath wherever you feel it most strongly in your body. The breath is changing in every moment. Body moves gently with the breath. The lungs expand, the heart beats. Getting curious, all the areas in your body where you can actually notice this change associated with the breath. The breath initiates this cascade of change in the body that's happening without us even knowing it. Blood is moving through the body, being delivered energy. And so, even though we actually don't physically experience it, we still know it's happening through this practice. Change is happening in the body every moment. Continuing to explore for another moment where you're noticing change associated with the breath. And there's no need to analyze or figure anything out here. Simply seeing the change that's actually happening in every moment. All right, then letting go of exploring change with the breath, and once again allowing the mind to rest. Resting in this state of effortless presence. Okay, and so let's begin to explore change through the senses. And so using whatever you hear, or perhaps you can open your eyes if they've been closed, and even noticing what you see. And getting curious about the changing nature of experience that you're receiving through the senses. There might be sounds in your environment, birds or cars going by, noticing those sounds come and go. Or even the coming and going of my voice as I'm guiding this practice. And even when there seems to be silence, you can notice how the mind shifts what it's paying attention to. And that too is change. And perhaps if you've been working with noticing change in sound, maybe shift now to the sense of sight and see if you can notice anything shifting or changing around you through the sense of sight. If you have access to a window, you could look out the window, perhaps see the leaves moving in the breeze. Or if you're looking at me, you can see my eyes blink and my mouth move. All of these things are changing. Continuing to get curious here for another minute. See what else you're noticing is changing in your senses. And they might be really noticeable changes or really subtle changes. Never in a single moment is anything static and unchanging. Life is dynamic, shifting every moment. By connecting to noticing change in the breath, in the body, and sensations, we're able to experience the truth of change. Okay, once again, allow the mind to rest. We're going to do just one more experiment here, but just allow the mind to rest for a moment here. Present and aware, yet not paying attention to anything in particular. Okay, so let's take this in a bit of a different direction, and I'm going to invite you to bring to mind a situation during the pandemic, perhaps right now, that you are navigating a transition or navigating change. Maybe you have a new boss, or kids are back at school. So choose something that feels challenging but workable. And once you've brought that situation to mind, see if you can connect with any emotions that might be present. And if it's useful, you could label the emotion in your mind. I am anxious, or I'm overwhelmed, or I'm happy. And so then getting curious beyond the label, how does the emotion feel in the body? And does it feel like the sensation is moving and changing? See if you can notice that. And then see if you can notice any thoughts that are present. Thoughts come and go in the mind, especially when reflecting on difficult situations. See if you can just notice the thoughts come and go. There might be moments where the mind is still, there's no thought, but it doesn't last long. And you can see the thoughts come and go, and just notice how they are constantly changing and moving. The thoughts might have words like a narrator or even images. Get curious just to see how the inner world of the emotions and thoughts associated with this situation are dynamic and changing. So we can begin to see beyond the surface level of what feels like it's unchanging and begin to see that change is actually happening all the time. Okay, now let go of the reflection, and you can just allow the mind to rest for a moment. Maybe taking a moment to reflect on what you experienced during your practice, what you noticed from your practice. Maybe it was challenging, maybe it was insightful. And if you feel inspired to share in the chat, I'd be curious to hear how that was for you. If there's something to share about your practice experience, I would welcome your thoughts in the comments. And if you have not yet opened your eyes, you can feel free to do so. All right. Thank you so much for your practice. So as I'm waiting to hear from you here, let's just recap what we did. So here we got curious around noticing change. And by tuning into the change that is actually happening in every moment, we can begin to align our expectations with the reality of what's actually happening so that we're not thrown off by changes that are happening in our lives. So when these big changes are happening, we can see them as they're happening. We see that this is a normal part of life, and we have some resilience to bounce back from these challenges and sort of navigate them in a healthier way. So we worked with exploring change in the body, in the breath, in our senses, and then even begin to sort of notice the changing nature of our thoughts and emotions as we bring to mind sort of difficulties in our lives. So this is just one example of how to navigate transitions by getting more clear around the reality of change. So if you're interested in learning more about our Healthy Minds framework and really tending to and nurturing your well-being, there are a couple of opportunities here. So the first is that we're launching our next cohort of our summer masterclass. Very excited about this deeper dive into the skills associated with resilience and flourishing that we feature in the Healthy Minds framework of well-being. You'll be a part of a cohort and community of learners who will be diving into the science and the skills associated with these things that can be so beneficial to us. Also, if you haven't downloaded the app, please check it out. It is the Healthy Minds program, downloadable at your app store. And this is freely offered due to the generosity of our donors. So looking forward to continuing to navigate change, explore navigating change with you. And I want to just thank you so much for practicing with me today. I will see you very soon.